Hello, community. This is James Olson with James Olson Live, and today we're going to be talking about Google and Apple. What can they learn from each other? So, with that said, let's get started. So, what are we talking here? We're talking about Apple and Google, Android and iOS. Now, I have experience in both of these ecosystems and how they operate, and the ins and outs, and we're just going to decide together which one is better, and I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions and what they can learn from each other, because I think they're both good ecosystems, both Android and iOS, but I think there's lessons that can be learned that could make somewhere in the middle a great ecosystem. So I'm going to divide this video up into categories. So let's start out with distribution. Distribution of the um, OS versions. I think that this is edged out by Apple. I think that the reason why it's edged out by Apple is because it's done by the manufacturer. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, they only have one phone to take care of. Well, yeah, that being true, but this has nothing to do with so much phones as it has to do with hardware. My thing is if it can run it, run it. And I know that some of these phones that come out are severely lacking in the iOS in the operating system that could totally work on the phone. My Evo's perfect example. It has more than enough to run Jelly Bean at least 4.1, but they kept it at 4.0. Why? Because it was on Virgin Mobile, and Virgin Mobile don't push out updates. And that kind of annoyed me, to where Apple has it all in their iTunes app store for you to just download to your iPhone, and that's how you get your update for your operating system. I think that this is a far, far more efficient way, the way that Apple has, to get your updates. Google, push out your own updates to your operating system. Set minimum requirements and push it out. Don't rely on your carriers. So 1 point for Apple. Next, let's talk about the the incremental updates. For example, iOS 7 was just announced. I think that Google actually carries the the weight on this one. I think that they pretty much beat Apple in this. I think it's far better to have incremental updates, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, just add little bite-sized chunks of new features in each little distribution, as opposed to Apple, who makes it an annual event. We're coming out with iOS 7. Okay, great. It's going to have all these features. Oh, great, all these features for me to learn. To where Google, if they come out with like a 4.1 to 4.2, it has a new couple new features, but you can get used to that before 4.3 will come out, or whatever incremental update will come out next. I think that's a far better way, because for the typical consumer, they don't want to mess with a whole bunch of features all at once. They want to learn the features that they can learn in one sitting and pretty quickly. So Edge here, totally Google. Let's talk about the app stores. The app stores. You have Google Play on Android, and you have iOS running on their app store, Apple's app store. I think that there's no contention here. I think that Apple has the advantage for a couple reasons. One you may agree with, one you may not. I think the first reason is just the sheer number of apps. There are a lot of apps on that app store. To where, yeah, Google has had the major ones are on Google, but they still have less apps. I think that's one reason why Apple has this one licked. I think another reason why, and this might be the one that you disagree with, but I think another reason why is because Apple needs to approve all these different apps before they get into their app store. And the reason why I think that's a good idea is control. on my HTC, I've got so much malware in it and adware and all that, and I think that's kind of because Google has, they might have some sort of approval process, but I don't think it's near that of what Apple does. I got so much malware on my phone, and the fact that Apple controls it, awesome, awesome. Keep it up, Apple. Google, learn from it. Another thing is just the name and the sturdiness of their operating systems. I think Google kind of falls short here. I think Apple again wins because it just seems like when they come out with an operating system, and this might be, kind of contradictory with what I said about iOS 7, iOS 6, but they make sure that those things work. And they do put up micro updates, that bug fixes and whatever, but at the start it just works. To where Android, I've noticed a couple of different kind of glitches in their different different operating system versions. And like, for example, smooth touch. Apple always makes sure that when you swipe your finger, it's going to change just along with your finger. To where Google, I have noticed that there's a little bit of stutter, and not all the time do you press something and it actually does what you want it to do. That's what I found on my ice cream sandwich. And I think that part of that could be fixed by what I said earlier. Google, distribute your updates. The community wants their operating systems to work. So basically, that is my video for today. Uh, I'll let you make your own choices to whether you agree or disagree. Please leave your comments in the description below, and visit my Facebook page at facebook.com/JamesWilsonLive, and read my vlog at jameswilsonlive.com. Until next time, I'll catch you later.